Welcome back, everyone. So I just got out of seeing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, a movie that I wasn't so sure how excited I was to see. I've enjoyed the other two movies. I felt like they were a good departure from the rest of the MCU, but they tied in well. I thought it definitely changed the tone of the MCU as they were bringing in, characters who maybe had lack of a better term, a potty mouth, right? You would see people flipping people off, douchebag and dick gets dropped here and there, and I thought maybe we're pushing this a little too far, but I think they do a very good job with this film. They do drop an F-bomb in it, but either way, I was excited, kind of looking forward to this. I was a little worried that this was going to be more Thor Love and Thunder and less Thor Ragnarok. And by the way, I hated Love and Thunder. But they did a fantastic job. I did see a quick review somewhere. I didn't read the whole thing, where they said that this was the most aggressively okay movie and that this is sort of the epitome of the MCU losing its quality. And I'm sorry, if we look through the whole course of the MCU and all 78 movies or however many the hell there have been, there have only been, I think, 5 or 6 that are really amazing movies. Most of them have been surprisingly good, right? The movies that you thought were maybe going to not be very good, but ended up being pretty darn entertaining. And I think that that's where this movie falls. It kind of centers on the story of the Guardians as they are trying to save Rocket. Rocket has been attacked. Spoiler alert, Adam Warlock appears. As far as him being in the movie, I don't know. It feels like it's too long between his teaser and now to have this payoff. And he isn't the main bad guy. He is in many ways just kind of comic relief. But he's badass. I mean, the fight at the beginning is really good. And, the main bad guy that we find out as we're exploring Rocket's backstory is the High Evolutionary, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor. And he does a fantastic job. I think that one of the complaints that we have on the Marvel films, is always that the bad guys, the big bad, the evil guys are not important or impactful enough. And I think that they do a great job of not spending forever explaining his backstory and why he's doing what he's doing, but just showing what he's doing and the impact that it's having. And I think that's what's important, is that you're seeing the actual effect that the villain is having, right? Thanos was so impactful because we saw what he did to characters that we cared about. And this does a good job of that, taking characters that we care about and showing how they're impacted by his actions. And, the overall, just the performances from Chiwetel, it rivals Jonathan Major. I think that this was so much better than Kang as far as an overall big bad guy. And I regret that there isn't going to be more of it. As far as the main cast, every time I started thinking, oh, this is my best part, because everybody's here. Cosmo is kind of in it, but it's the main cast. It's Star-Lord and it's Gamora. She's kind of back a little bit edgelord, but mellows out. It doesn't get too deep into that. Nebula is fantastic. Her evolution as a character has been great. Rocket is in the movie mainly in flashbacks as we see him in this sort of China Mayville, Perdido Street Station, torture, evolution, forced evolution, which, by the way, God, they could have had they almost did maybe have some Ninja Turtle jokes. I don't know. It felt like, I'm going to say that they missed some opportunities, but not too much. Groot, we've gone from adolescent Groot to now swole Groot. Drax, Dave Bautista he's fantastic. The interplay with him and Mantis it's top notch. It's hilarious. This movie kind of jumps all over the place, but in a way that is logical and makes sense. I think that the humor hits. I think they don't drive into the ground. We're family and we love each other. but you still feel the emotion and you feel the impact. And these are actors who have bought into these characters. They love the characters. They love each other. You can feel the interplay, and you can feel how much they're enjoying themselves, and that's absolutely fantastic. um, the action in this movie is really good. Uh, if you've played the Guardians of the Galaxy video game, think that. A lot of times in these movies, when we have a lot of people on screen with powers and doing things, you kind of lose track of who's doing what. And, aside from the really big, the Infinity War and the End Game and that sort of thing. But in this, it just the camera work and the way it goes from one to the other and seeing them interacting and the way that they've synergized, it's fantastic. The actual graphics, I would say that I've always been impressed that you have a hard time telling the difference between the practical effects and the CGI. When you see a fully CGI Rocket or Groot, it doesn't feel completely out of place. It's not like there's just a texture that's layered onto the world. It's great. I enjoy this movie. I love this movie so much. I would say that one of the things I was most worried about, and maybe my least favorite of the other movies, was the force of the music. Even though, especially I think in the first movie was better. I thought that was funny and it was timely. It was cool. This movie, it goes from 70s and 80s. Now, as the team has evolved, now Peter is listening to music from the 90s on his Zune, going toward the end of the movie into the 2000s. I don't know that all the music hits. I think at the very beginning there's an acoustic version of Creep by Radiohead that works really well, and then toward the end, and like I said, I think that I get the joke. But where would Peter have gotten this music from? And where would they all have? And over the scope of the entire galaxy universe, this is the best that they've got. It seemed a little bit strange, but again, I get the joke with the Zune. That's fine. I don't understand why Peter is still listening to it on $14.99 earbuds. That doesn't make any sense. But on that whole thing, like, everybody is a part of it. Everybody now is enjoying the music, and it fits with each of the characters. They each kind of have their moments, and I think that's where this movie shines, is in those individual characters and giving them the send off. Like I said, I thought that there were a couple of moments where they could have gone somewhere and maybe they didn't, or they definitely didn't. But maybe they missed an opportunity. But overall, every time I thought, oh, they're going to miss this opportunity, they should do this, they ended up doing it, and it was fantastic. I don't want to give too much away, but especially toward the end, I think we see something happen, particularly with Groot, who has evolved into a full character rather than just a couple of lines. There's one point where he says, "I'm Groot," and Gamora, because she's not really part of the team, isn't getting it. And someone translates, and she's like, "I think you guys are just making this up." And it was fantastic. So I really, really enjoyed this movie. I hope that you have seen it, and I hope that you did too. I hope this movie does very well. And I hope that we do see more. So see it, stream it, or skip it. Absolutely see this movie. Please go see this movie. If you like the MCU and you like the Guardians movies, this is not hard sci-fi. This isn't really dark. This is just kind of fun space pirates or something. It's great. I loved it. And as a little bonus, I just want to real quick talk about the Flash movie that's coming out, because I've seen a bunch of trailers for it. It's before like every movie that I go to see, and I don't think there's a movie coming out that looks, at least a big tentpole movie, that looks worse than this. A movie that can't just be happy with its character, but it's got all, like, this is the first Flash movie we're really going to see. I'm not going to get too much into it. It doesn't look great. I'm hoping it pulls it out. So anyways, that's my thought on this. If you have seen the movie or are planning on seeing it, whatever, please, let me know in the comments below, and, do all the like, share, and subscribe and all that. I appreciate everyone. It is starting to pour rain, so I am out here, and I'm hoping everyone can still hear. All right, I will see you after the next movie.